Wagwan, are you multifamily enthusiasts? This is Shelon Hutchinson. My friends in real estate know me as Hutch the Marine Investor. And look, we're still on season three. And our guest today is not a veteran, but he has an in-depth knowledge of the things that we're going to grow through as a veterans as we aspire to own more of America. See, our guest today is Ophir Adar, who was the former manager of Compass Beverly Hollywood office, which is Compass is one of the largest residential brokerage company in the United States. Throughout that time, you've trained thousands of real estate agents to ensure that they can provide you, the veterans, and also our small community, the level of service that helps them to make the best decision in their acquisition process and also their sale process as well. So who better for us to talk to our veterans about some of these things that we need to know of how to utilize the VA loan, also being able to take advantage of using the FHA loan as well. And also dive in a little bit deeper into some of the other options, like what we do as a real estate syndicator that are available to you in helping you to make sure that you have a diverse portfolio if real estate is the vehicle you choose to grow your wealth. So without further ado, Mr. Ophir, I appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you so much, Hutch. And first of all, I love that explanation. My goal is really to support the real estate agents in being able to support the consumers in
Right.
being able to make the right decisions for themselves and not only use real estate for themselves as a place to live, but also to use it as an investment vehicle to create wealth for themselves as well. And it's so funny because I used to have a company called Wealth Architecture Group, and that was our tagline. Using real estate as an investment vehicle to create wealth for yourself.
That is awesome, man. So, Mr. Ophir Madar, do you have a favorite real estate quote or mantra that drives you?
I'd say my mission statement is to help people become the cause of their lives rather than the effect of their lives. And yeah, it's a really broad mission statement. And the reason why I have such a broad mission statement is there's so many ways of doing that, right? A lot of times we are feeling like we're at the effect of things where it's just happening to us and it's hard to figure out all these different things. I'm supporting people in becoming the cause rather than just being the effect.
Can you tell our listeners a little bit more about yourself and also your current focus?
Absolutely. So I started in real estate in Los Angeles in 2002. Back on the Sunset Strip of Los Angeles, which everyone has heard about, knows about all the stories, West Hollywood, Beverly Hills. Those are the areas that I sold real estate in. And as I started to expand in real estate, I started to sell in other areas too, especially investment property, especially duplexes, fourplexes, apartment buildings, because you start to learn things as you get into real estate and you learn that there's different opportunities. Some opportunities are for cash flow and some opportunities are for appreciation and some opportunities are for both. The goal is to really, as you're getting into real estate, to learn and to have the right people in place to support you, right? That's such a big piece because I can share with you, Hutch, from getting into real estate, and this is why I'm a coach right now for real estate agents.
Yeah.
You feel lost. And it's the same thing for an investor or even somebody who might be thinking about buying for themselves. Like, it's easy to feel lost. It's easy to shut down. And our goal is really to support them in being able to feel confident and to move forward and know they have the right people behind them.
Yeah, they end up being the cause of their success as a real estate agent or an investor versus the effect.
Absolutely. And I will share it 100% freely with you. At the beginning of my career, everything was happening to me. And I got really tired of that. So I started to change the way I look at things to like, what can I control? What are the things I can control? And when you start to focus on what you can control and you start to put them into steps that you can break down, then it becomes something you can do easily. But if you look at the whole picture, it overwhelms you and it shuts you down. And that's usually what ends up happening to people.
Yeah, a lot. So we're going to be hosting a summit on the 24th of May. And we're going to have Coach Trevor McGregor as one of our speakers. He's going to be talking about our status, our story, our strategy, which is three things that really get us to move the needle ahead. And to your point, when we understand how we are thinking, then we get to understand what is the story that we repeatedly tell ourselves, and does that story need to change? And as we started to construct our life by design to end up being the cause of our success, right? Then we now create a strategy around where we want to go. So whether it's a real estate agent or a real estate investor, I'm really looking forward to that presentation by Coach Trevor McGregor.
Exactly what you need to be doing. It's perfect because yes, you need somebody to come in and talk to them about mindset, talk to them about being prepared and ready to go, and focusing on breaking it down into steps that makes it easy to focus on, right? And so you're doing it beautifully. And I'll share with you a little bit more because I've had so much experience as a real estate agent. I was the #1 real estate agent for all of Keller Williams in California 2 years in a row. And so, and I don't say that to impress you. I just say that because I have a lot of experience, right? The more real estate you do, the more experience you have. And I had so much experience learning about doing real estate and learning about how much opportunity there is for consumers to make money using real estate as an investment vehicle. And then I started thinking about why aren't they doing more of that? And it's just because they're not being shown how the right way, exactly like you're doing right now. And I have a special place in my heart for veterans. I love what you guys are doing. And just so you know, I also have done the training for the National Association of Default Professionals, which means those are the asset managers. So as the market, and one of the things you and I talked about, Hutch, is the market's going to start to change now. The market's going to go into a position where it's perfect for real estate investors. And Blackstone, which is one of the biggest real estate investors in the country, just came out with an article last week that said this is the time for apartment investors to get in the game. And then less than a week later, they bought 8,200 units in California. So, they put their money where their mouth is, right?
Yeah, let's use that to preface the trajectory we're about to go in right now. So what I want to drill down on the smaller scale. I was talking to you earlier about owning a single grape versus slices of watermelon, right? So I want to talk about the power and the benefits, and also how to get started with owning that single grape, because the most important things that we can do as real estate investor is to start, right?
Yes.
I want to capture this from two angles. I want to capture this from your position as a coach, as you speak to new agents, and then we roll right into the veterans. Because look, I just wrapped up all the prerequisites to get my real estate license here in Hawaii.
Yes.
And they taught me a lot about the principle of real estate, the history, and some basic things, but they're not teaching me how to actually go and market myself and all the good things. Most agents, they are marketers first, right? Because you have to attract, get the leads, right? So attract the leads, and then you got to nurture and then close, whether it's a sales agent or actually a sales agent or buyer's agent, right? So all this stuff is important. So let's dive deep into that. Talk to me about the guidance that you provide real estate agent as a coach, and how you tie that into them eventually becoming an investor in importance.
It's so beautiful that you say that, Hutch. I mean, seriously, the synchronicity that we have together is unbelievable. I'm going to share with you. So this is the thing. New agents like yourself coming into the business, they're not taught how to talk to people, not market them. So you need to learn how to have real estate conversations with people, how to ask them questions, how to focus on them. And when I teach them that really simply and easily, then they can go out there and really support consumers, be there to support the consumer and what are their goals and what are their needs. And so once you have a consistency in your business, then you can become an investor, right? Because most realtors aren't investors because they don't have that consistency in their business. So as long as you're talking to people consistently, focused on supporting them and helping them, you'll have all the business that you want to have. And instead, they're taught how to market and blast at them and do these things. And that's not how you build relationships. My goal for a realtor is clients for life. That's the goal, right? Simple as that. Clients for life. I want to help you, Hutch, and I want to help anybody that not only with their real estate needs, but create wealth using real estate. That's why we're like in such synchronicity. I want to be able to teach the agents how to be there to support the consumers like you're talking about.
Yeah, and that's awesome. So what would you say would be maybe for a new agent, and maybe even going to a professional agent who'll be doing this for 15 years, success leave clues, and the guy or gal who's just starting out, they can increase their momentum significantly faster if they understand what success look like. So if you was to teach,
the name of my coaching company?
tell me more.
Real momentum.
Real momentum. Oh man, it's like I knew that. So real momentum.
Yep.
So it's important that we max or increases the momentum as fast as possible. Same is true about investors as well. We don't have to go
Absolutely.
we don't have to go the single family route. We can go into a small multifamily or even partnership and go into really big multifamily. But understanding what does success look like for a seasoned agent or a very successful professional agent, what would be your guidance to a newer agent to maximize the momentum?
I, I coach new agents in 90 days. By the
Right.
time they're out in 90 days, they're going to get a listing a month, guaranteed. It's not a question. And everyone's like, wait a minute, new agent can't be a listing. They can't do this. They can't. It's so easy, but we have so much limiting belief and baggage put on from all these people that it prevents us from creating success. And
Mhm.
my focus is this: it's remove all the baggage, all the limiting beliefs, all this garbage, so you can have real conversations with real people.
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, it's just about having real conversations with real people. As a real estate agent, what are you selling? You're not selling a thing. You have nothing that they're going to purchase. It's about if you have a real estate need, Hutch, I am here to support you with your real estate need and also hopefully do a consultation to see where your goals are, where you want to head. Do we have to prepare for it? And when we talk like that, when we can have real conversations with people, then they feel comfortable. They start to trust us and we can support them in the way that they need.
Gotcha. All right. So what would you say the three important things that a real estate agent need to talk to a prospective seller about,
Yeah.
and then we roll right into a buyer about preparing.
Yeah, if I was going to go door knocking, it would be like, hey, how I would ask them simple questions about what their goals are for real estate. How long have you been at this address? How'd you happen to pick this neighborhood over here? And it was like, if you were to move now, where would you go next? And
Right.
then if we say no, then this is the focus. You switch into, have you had any thoughts about investing in real estate? See, there's a whole formula to the questions that you, because somebody may buy their single family first and then be an investor. And let me
Right.
tell you, Touch, a lot of times when I had a condo buyer, the first question I would ask them is, would you be okay managing a renter? Because if you're a condo buyer and you buy a duplex instead, now you can literally be there for 2 years, then rent it out and go buy a single family and you own your first investment property.
Yeah, facts, man. Yeah, I do like that. And I think it takes a certain level of growth and a shift in paradigm to really understand that the investment thing is possible, right? Because a lot of folks are still bent around or still buying the paradigm of the American dream of just owning real estate and nothing more. Pay off the mortgage and then you're good. But I'm also seeing a transition, especially amongst our younger folks, of a deeper understanding of assets versus liability. But I like what you say is that when you're door knocking, your first question is not, have you considered selling your house? But you're talking about this community. So I'm a real estate agent doing a survey on this area to understand home ownership and what's the benefit and understand why people chose this neighborhood and why people move. Talking to this person,
Yeah.
that I've spoken to their neighbors to get a deeper understanding. So one, this could potentially lead to a sale, but it also, as an agent, it gives you a deeper understanding of the who that lives inside those neighborhoods, so
Thank you.
you can better have better conversation with them at different community events, or if you do a social media blast, you're speaking directly to the pain points. So that is that's pretty cool.
And
So
I love that. Do a community, be a part of the community,
yeah,
do event. And you said it beautifully. Like you're coming there from a place of support. If they need support, that's it.
yeah,
And it's so powerful and it's so impressive that you guys are doing this because people need guidance, right? My
yeah.
suggestion to people is that it's funny because like you're talking about coaching right now. When I got into real estate, Hutch, I spent a year doing nothing, like lost and struggling. And then I got a coach. And my coach told me exactly what to do step by step. And in 2 years, I became the number one agent in all of Keller Williams in California because I followed my coach. And it's the same thing with you guys. Find somebody that you trust that comes from a background like you have, that wants to support you, that has the right mission, and then learn from them and be part of that.
Yeah, that is awesome, man. As we transition to teaching people how they can own more of America as an investor, right? So I like that you talk to the owners or the potential buyers and shift their paradigm. Or saying if you're willing to manage a tenant, then here's how you can think bigger and go bigger and actually create what I like to call be a part of the American dream, which is ownership of income producing assets across the country.
Paradigm shift is, Hutch. Here's the paradigm shift, because
Yeah.
this is what I do. I'm a mindset coach, right? Here's the paradigm shift. You can be part of a community and have that ownership, right? And it's the same thing for realtors. Do you know what paradigm shift they have to have? It's from 9 to 5 employee to entrepreneurial mindset. And it's a completely different way of thinking. And I have to get them to switch over to that way of thinking, and then they rock it. So you have to have a paradigm shift. You're 100% right.
No, I like that, because if a sale or a purchase to real estate is your sole income, and that is your way of life and all that good stuff, right? Some folks get into survival mode, and survival mode slows down thriving. Like I said, you asked how I do.
Yes.
I'm thriving. So it's
Yes.
important that we focus on thriving. And when you start focusing on thriving, then you are now willing to get a coach to help you to shift that paradigm. Then you're now taking more massive action. You're now able to maybe leverage a virtual assistant to help you with the things that you need to do so you can grow, you can work on your business. You don't have to be in the nitty gritty every single day. But I like what you talk about, and we're going to get to there as far as building a team to own more of America, small grape versus slices of watermelon. So let's dive into the VA loan. And let's speak directly to our listeners right now, which are veterans. They're veterans, and at this point, they're probably an accredited investor, and they probably own a small business as well, or they're in the trajectory of getting there. Most of us have the understanding that the VA loan is probably one of the most powerful financial tools that we have as a active duty service member or as a veteran. In your experience over the years, how do you educate folks about the VA loan and why it's important to their trajectory?
Because at this point now, I've managed for 3 different companies, right? That's why I talk about my level of experience. And the thing that ends up happening is a lot of people end up hearing that VA loans are difficult, so they're harder, agents, not consumers, but they're harder. The VA loan is the best, most powerful loan in the world, right? Like, it's a guaranteed close. There's certain conditions in terms of the property has to meet certain conditions for the VA loan. And I'm not going to get into all the details of it. It's important to speak to a lender who understands VA loans. And I think it's great for people to speak to a lender who understand VA loan, even if they're not ready right now, because that VA lender can help you prepare. This is what you have to do for the next 6 months to get ready so that you are prepared. Even now is a great time to purchase, right? So the VA loan is such a powerful loan for a veteran to use for themselves. And the FHA loan is a wonderful loan as well for investment, but the VA loan, veterans should be taking advantage of the VA loan. And if they're confused or they don't feel comfortable, then talk to an agent who has familiarity with VA loans, and a lender can guide you.
That sounds great. Do you mind speaking about it some more specific for the VA loans that veterans might not be aware of?
That you literally have to come with no money down, right? I mean, you literally have to come with no money down. Now, here's the thing. That's where the agent comes into play. That's where you guys come into play. You want to make sure that you have an agent that's protecting you, right? That cares about you. And at the same time, you're going to be able to close a VA loan without a problem. It's so easy to close those loans as long as the property's in the right condition. There's nothing to prevent that loan from going through.
So as long as the veterans get their pre-qualification done, the veteran becomes qualified as far as understanding their buy box, and then they get to choose their location, choose the agent, choose their location, and then find a property that qualifies and meet the VA criteria. So if you go into a property, there's a couple of different ways a couple of different options that you had at some point where you can also tack in a construction loan on your VA loan to make a property ready, or sometimes in some cases to build a new property as well. So it's important to understand your lender and the requirements from your lender, and also understand the agents that's going to get you into the right markets and the right property.
What you just said is so powerful. There's so much there to deconstruct, right? Like, so many different things that you can use. And that's why I'm being serious. Like, I'm learning like simple, give them the simple solution, because then you can get into the complex. So the simple is talk to a VA lender, right? Like, I beg, because that illuminates things for you. It just clarifies things. It tells you where you are. It tells you how easy it is, how simple you can move forward with it. So that's our first thing, is get them to talk to VA agents like yourself who really appreciate and understand and can support you, and a lender. That's it. And that will illuminate things for you that it makes it less confusing. And then you know what you need to do.
Yeah, 100%, because it does take some preparation, right? Because if you're thinking about moving expenses, right, the realtor is not going to pay for you to move, or the seller's not going to pay for you to move.
Yeah.
If you need money to move your family, setting up utilities and all the good stuff. So even though you're going to these properties with zero money down towards the principal and interest of the property, there's still inspection fees, the traveling location, your lunch, also setting up utilities on the back end whenever you buy this property, purchasing home warranty insurance to ensure that if the appliance break in the next several months, you're not fronting several $1,000s to fix your washing machine or your heating system or anything like that. It's good to have a good financial structure so you can overcome some unforeseen.
You just said it. It's beautiful. You need to have the financial structure, and you need to have an agent like you, because everything you just said, the warranty, the insurance, a good agent is going to support you and know that you need those things and help you get them in place. So you're going to make sure all those things are in place. That's why a realtor is so important, because you're
Understand?
really going to support them.
Yeah. So I had a good friend, Tim, down in Pensacola, who purchased a property utilizing an FHA loan. And he bought I think it was a triplex. I think it was 3.5% down via the FHA loan. So he's a veteran. I think we get caught in this. Once we understand the VA loan, we think that's the only good deal we have. So when you look at the VA loan, you actually finance, depends on your VA disability, you are financing the funding fee over 30 years. So that's something that we all need to look at, or the life of the mortgage. Now, if you go to
Right.
something like a FHA loan, where you get to put 3.5% down towards that mortgage, now you're looking at a situation where you're financing less over the life of the loan. To each their own, and math is important. The numbers usually don't lie, and it's important that you're able to sit down with your lender and your agent, more specifically in this case, your lender, to understand the two different criteria, or the two things that are available to you, taking the time to learn what is it that your family is trying to accomplish, both with real estate and also understanding your risk capacity as finances go on a monthly basis, and also your risk tolerance on a monthly basis, and also long-term trajectory of your real estate involvement as well. So understand the options available to you, and then plan or ensure that your financial structure is built around that end to realize that goal and also improve that goal as well. So what can you tell us about the FHA loan?
I was just about to get into you.
Yeah, why
Hutch,
do you see
we're sharing
why,
the same mind here.
yeah, why would a veteran choose a FHA loan versus a VA loan, or
You know,
even
you just said it. First of all, the FHA loans have now evolved a little bit so that you
it
can,
is, it has,
yeah, you can
yeah,
finance a higher price property,
you
which
can.
an income property, which makes it fantastic for being able to buy income properties. And this is what I've learned over my 20 years of experience. I would take somebody and give them to a lender that I trust, who understands FHA and VA,
Mhm.
because that lender's job is to understand what their options are. So if you're going to a lender who's not providing you with options, there's a problem there, because there's all different loans, there's all different options. They should
Mhm.
at least be talking to you about the different options. So VA is wonderful for certain scenarios. FHA is wonderful for certain scenarios, especially for income property investing. And then apartment syndication, like I said, I believe that's going to be a massive source of income for people, because as the prices go down, right, that means that there's more cash flow for those properties.
Right.
So there's going to be massive opportunity in the apartment world, and they need to find people that they trust. And syndication is becoming huge. It minimizes the risk, right?
It does.
That's a huge piece of apartment investing.
All right,
It
let's get into that, man. So I like that we talk about this growth, right? So whether a person is a real estate agent or a veteran, there is a trajectory that we can go on in our understanding of what's available to us, but then also understanding what is possible, right? And to your
Yes.
point, that's where real estate syndication comes in. I often talk about own full grape versus slices of watermelon. So as one of the benefits that we have with going into a deal with a small amount of money down, for example, VA loan with percent down, FHA loan, it could be a 3.5%. But now, to your point, you now can get a Fannie Mae loan that you put 5% down and you can buy up to a 4 unit, granted that you are planning on living in one of those units. So the cool thing about that is that the lender will consider, for the multifamily, say you buy it on 4 units, the lender will consider a portion of that income from that fourplex as qualification for that mortgage. I also want
You
to
have,
talk
so you
about
literally
yeah,
have somebody supplementing your mortgage. You have
100%.
these renters paying your mortgage for you. It's beautiful.
Yeah, so potential live in one unit, two units cover your entire mortgage, and the third unit is cash flowing, and
Yeah,
then the fourth unit is where you live.
balloons. I love.
Just a thumbs up.
Oh, really?
Let's see
That
what
was so
happened.
cool. Oh my God, I love that. It was perfect.
Yeah, so if you listen to this, I did some hand signal and then balloons start crawling
Balloons
all
started flowing. Yeah.
it's awesome. Thumbs up. Yes, sir. So whether you're agent or a veteran, understanding what you're doing right now, how you can get in the game, and then also understand what's possible. So a little fun fact. I just came back from the best ever conference out in Salt Lake City, and I was interviewed by this young man who's a Navy veteran. One of the things he was asking me about is what is the biggest check size that I've ever received in real estate? I was reluctant to say this specific number where I bought a property utilizing a VA loan and then refinanced as the property value increased. I refinanced that property. By the time I got to refinancing that property, I had a deep understanding about real estate syndication. And I also understand if I put my money here, it can grow passively over the next 5 years. And if I save all that income, then I get to almost double my money in 5 years. So eventually I would be at my rat race number. And what happened is that I had a shift in paradigm, the way money works, and two, what is
Yes.
possible. A lot of folks know is that I took what's called a redux, which is a reduction in your retirement pay at 15 years. So you go from 50% when you retire at 20 years to 40% when you retire at 20 years. And I rolled that money into a single family home to make a down payment. And the reason why I had to do that is because I own a house in another state under the VA loan. So now I get to buy
Yeah.
two properties under the VA loan. The second property that I wanted to buy at the time pushed me over my VA eligibility. So I had to come up with $40,000 to put down. So I took my redux and I put that down. And then in 5 years later, that thing has grown significantly. So I understand the way money works, but by the time I
Yes.
refinanced the property, I learned what was possible. So I rolled that money into a real estate syndication. I invest in a bakery. I invest in some units in the Southeast and I invest in some units in Texas. And these are all property we are syndicating. So now that we preface that of how we can actually borrow money at low
Yes.
interest rates, long term, and buy income producing asset. Let's talk about some of the benefit of real estate syndication and how
There you
veterans
go.
can transition there.
Yeah, look, what you just said was fantastic. And I
Yeah.
really want people to hear this because it's beautiful what you did and it's intricate, right? And so people go, oh, wait a minute, that's too much, right? Focus on learning. For those of you who are listening right now, just focus on learning. It's important to really go to events that these guys are hosting because that's where you can really get connected and learn these things. Knowledge is power, right? When you have knowledge of something, you're less afraid of it. It's the
Yes.
fear that prevents people from moving forward, right?
Yeah.
And so, like you talk about it, it's amazing that you've come to this conclusion because the paradigm shift that I'm talking about, I see very little coaches talking about it. You have to have a paradigm shift in the way you're thinking. And it's easy to have if you have the right guidance.
Yes, sir.
Do you have people like yourself who've gone through a paradigm shift, but it was probably hard for you because there was so much pressure and financial pressure? And
Yeah.
so you want other people to avoid that.
Yeah, I walk into my sergeant major's office with a paperwork to take my redux, which is a reduction in your retirement pay.
Yeah.
And it was like, Hutch, do you know how much money you're going to miss out after retirement? I said, yes, I know exactly what I'm doing, Sergeant Major.
People are looking at like your major was looking at it instead
Yeah.
of how you're looking at it.
Yeah.
That's the paradigm shift that you had. That
Yes.
you can see that it's opportunity and not like he
100%.
looked at it as this is bad. And you're like, oh,
This is good. You're gonna give me money way ahead of time that I can put to work and benefit. Come on, man, let's do this.
yeah, right.
Let's take
Exactly.
that. Let's borrow money at low interest
Yes.
rate, long term, and buy income producing assets. And that's what we do in syndication. So if you listen to this, if this is the first episode you listen to, and syndication is a new process for you, whether it's a real estate agent or a veteran, all syndication is the pooling of capital together, right? So, for example, myself and Ophir and Dr. Jamil and a couple of other folks wanted to buy a large apartment complex. What we do, we will pool our capitals together. This capital can come from anywhere. They can come from our now money and our later money. Now, if you want to use your later money, which is money from your retirement pay, your retirement fund to invest in real estate, the key things to know is that you cannot benefit directly from managing the property, right? So if you manage a property, your personal retirement plan cannot buy into that property. But if Hutch the Marine Investor was the syndicator and you
Yes.
were investing as a passive real estate investor, now you can invest at the property as long as you're not one of the managers, right? So you can use your non-money, which is money in the checking account and savings account, or you can use your later money to invest into a larger asset, income producing asset that will, our goal is to double your money over the next 5 to 7 years. And
Yeah,
it's a
let's talk about
beautiful thing
what
to be
about
passive as a real
depreciation?
estate syndication. Yeah. So appreciation, but also
Depreciation.
the depreciation. It's a whole different topic. So there's so many things we can talk about in real estate syndication, but we'll just keep it simple for today. Just know
Yeah.
that as a real estate agent, it's important that you become an investor because that's where your money get to work for you. You get a check for $100,000 and you use $50,000 for your living expenses, but the other $50,000 is invest passively. That's going to grow for you. So every time you make that and you can invest in real estate syndication, you do that. And there's a plethora of ways that you can do that. So if you want to know more about that, you can reach out to Ophir or myself, and we can educate you of a couple of different options you have as far as becoming a real estate investor and also invest in apartment syndication building. And the same is true about the veterans too, right? As you start buying single family home, it's important that your goal is to level up the triplex, fourplex, or go into larger multifamily properties, whether you are buying it with your fellow veterans or you are investing with real estate syndicators.
Yeah, and
Yes,
for
sir.
me, look, there's a separation here because for me, I'm not in real estate
Yes,
anymore.
sir.
So I put them in touch with a good FHA VA lender.
Appreciate it. Yeah,
And that would be just for their sake so that they can know where things are at. You talk about this, but when you don't know, it's overwhelming and it shuts you down. And the more you
definitely.
learn about it, the more simple you realize it becomes and it's doable, right? And if you're thinking about apartment syndication, which I think is brilliant, and there's so many facets to it, then reach out so that you could learn more, so that you can talk about where you're at. Reach out to Hutch and his group because there is so much power. First of all, you got people who are supporting you. They're veterans. They care about people. They have honor, right? Who you're getting into business with. That's such an important piece. And they're there. They're the experts. They're there to support you. All you have to do is come in and learn and be part of the group. I think we're moving into the time in the country where there will be the most opportunity for them to make the most amount of money. I encourage everybody to think about it, to learn about it, and get involved with you guys.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. Can we spend the next 4 minutes talk about
Yeah.
the direction that you think the market is going?
Yeah, absolutely. I can tell you this straight up because the commercial market is already decimated. It's decimated right now, the commercial real estate market, meaning that there are foreclosures, there are people declaring bankruptcy, big companies, big developers all over the place because a couple of factors. One is you got to know commercial real estate, the office buildings, and people are working from home. So a lot of these office buildings are going to be repurposed as condo buildings. They need to get rid of them. So in the commercial world, in the apartment world, in the shopping center world, especially in the office world, there will be so much opportunity coming through for people. And in the residential world, I want to share one thing, Hutch, because people haven't talked about this at all. When the pandemic hit, we have a correction in this country every 7 to 10 years, meaning that every 7 to 10 years, the market goes down because it's gone up too fast.
Yes,
What
gone up too
happened is
fast.
it's gone up too fast in the last couple of years because people got into a frenzy and people got into bidding wars. And when the pandemic hit, we were supposed to have a correction. Instead of a correction, right? We went straight up. The market went, instead of going down where it was supposed to, when the pandemic hit, it went straight up like this. And it's been going up ever since the pandemic. And the interest rates have gone up 6 points and the market's still going up. That's ridiculous, right? That's not the way it's supposed to be. We need to have a correction. The prices are way too inflated, and we will. And no one's talking about it, but we will have a correction, and that's the opportunity. That's the opportunity coming forward for people to invest in real estate.
Yeah, I totally understand. But I'm also, I just came back from networking with a plethora of professionals in this environment. And there is definitely a concern in some sectors as far as some of the risk that some of us or some investors have taken over the years when things were good and everything was going up and up and up and up, right? And I think the expectation was that things would continue to go up and up and we would still be in a low interest rate environment. So a lot of those loans are maturing And those folks may not be able to purchase a rates cap to continue to capitalize on their current payments, and they might potentially default. But also see on the other hand, where some lenders are working with their borrowers to ensure that the borrowers don't default and those loans that they have on their books doesn't become a bad debt. You know what I
They're
mean? So
trying to, as
yeah,
much as possible.
they're definitely trying to, and they do have some flexibility because I think a lot of folks understand. So the ones that can weather the storm will definitely be in a good position.
That's the beauty of apartment syndication,
Correct, yeah,
because you're minimizing your risk.
minimize your risk, yeah,
If you buy individually a duplex, if the person moves out, you're stuck, right? But if you have 10 units or 20 units,
right,
the risk is minimized. And it's about buy and hold at that point, right? It's
exactly,
about buy and hold and wait for it to come back and appreciate. But
yeah.
the commercial world refis every 5 or 10
Mhm.
years. So those people that are going into refis aren't going to be able to cover their bill. So they have to sell or get foreclosed on.
Yes, or we figure out how to partner with
Yeah,
another
or
syndicator like
partner with
yourself,
them.
and
So many
yes, sir. And
opportunities.
there's a couple folks that doing different debt fund that is in order to refinance or get a rate cap, they got up. And what it is that the bank now have a more capital on their books that they use their accounts a lot better. You know what I mean? So there's different debt funds that can rescue capital that can help out those businesses that are in bad position. Some of my friends they do that as well. So there's so many different ways you can invest in real estate, whether it's you buying your own property by yourself, owning a small grape, or you invest in a slice of watermelon, owning a slice of watermelon
Yes.
by investing in large syndication. But also, there's different income funds, debt funds that you can invest in, and A Square Capital will be going that direction in the not so
Yes.
distant future as well to ensure that we can provide more opportunities to our investors. So I want to go into the
Yeah.
fire round, where it's the focus round. We're actually
Okay.
5 questions, right? What do you do for fun?
Fish. I love fishing.
Fishing is good, fun and fishing. Okay.
Yes.
What is one opportunity that was a game changer for you?
Learning neurolinguistic programming, which is about the mind body connection, because that made me understand human behavior. And
Huh.
that's what you have to focus on.
All
Yeah.
right. What would you say is your number one communication tip?
The number one communication tip is to ask questions, right? If you really want to build communication, you have to ask questions. That's how you build communication, and just repeat and affirm what they say. That's the easiest way to build rapport with somebody.
Huh, I like that.
It's
So,
simple.
one thing you wish you understood earlier. Yeah.
I wish I understood credit scores a lot earlier in life
Yeah.
because I didn't know. Nobody taught me. I didn't know. I had 500 credit score, right? And it took me, when I got into real estate, I learned about it and boosted it up. But your credit score can do so much for lending, so much.
Understand that. To what do you attribute your success?
The ability to get back up again, right? Like I have failed more times than I've succeeded. And I have always been able to just get back up again. And what I've learned is every time you fail and get back up again, you succeed at a 10 times higher level. So the tenacity, the resilience is so
Mm.
important.
Oh man, fail forward. I love that,
Yes.
man. I really appreciate you joining us on this podcast. If our listeners want to get in touch with you, how do they go about doing that?
Perfect. So as of next week, there will be calendars available on my website, realmomentum.com. It's meant for real estate agents for the coaching program, but if you schedule a 15-minute consultation with me, I'll be happy to talk about VA loan. So realmomentum.com, there's a 15-minute consult with me.
Right.
Anybody can schedule it, whether they're a real estate agent and want to learn, or whether they're
So, listeners, this was a powerful episode, whether you're a real estate agent or a active duty member or a veteran, right? So, just understanding the trajectory, understand what is available to you, but more importantly, understand what is possible. See, there's something that I've learned recently, and I've embraced in my own life. And I think these are powerful words, right? Success leave clues. And the quote is, when the mind is open to the possibilities, then your eyes and ears will be open to the opportunities. So from that place, continue to build and aspire to build a greater life. Because look, people are dependent on you as an investor, as a father, as a mother, as a husband, as a person, as an adult in general. You have people that are relying on you. So understand what is possible. And then, as we like to say, go get it. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Multifamily Real Estate Experiment Podcast. I'm Hutch the Marine Investor, out.
Thank you for your service, everybody.